Welcome everybody. It is your boy Batman333 and we are back with another live stream tonight. We're going to do a little bit of a different format today. Basically, I wanted to share my thoughts on the two previous betas, the Marvel Tokon beta, which I was able to recently participate in, and then also the Invincible versus beta, because I think I don't remember if I did a beta on it, or not a beta, but a video on it. I think I did do a video on it. It was just sort of like a breakdown, just kind of like what I do with normal uh, test plays, just showing the mechanics and things like that. But tonight I wanted to kind of share my thoughts on my experience with the game and, just sort of like go over what many people were kind of maybe complaining about, what I thought my complaints were, and just overall talk general fighting game stuff. I'm just gonna play some footage, in the background while I talk. So let's get into it. So for the most part, the experience itself wasn't so bad, as opposed to just maybe, the small gripes like not having a training mode. I know that the Avatar beta was also this past weekend, and a lot of people seem to enjoy that. I really wanted to get in that one as well, but unfortunately I didn't get the invite for that one. But, both of these games were part of Sony's, beta program. The way they do playtest games now is that if you sign up for the Sony PlayStation beta program, any game that you want to be a part of or have interest in, they'll send you out some invites, to various games. So like if you see some kind of beta happening for a particular game, you just go to Sony's website and basically just apply for that game, and it automatically registers you because you have a Sony PlayStation beta. Oh, sorry. There we go. Go back to the video. But yeah, I can tell you this much. I had a lot of fun playing it. I don't think... I think when I started off playing, it felt like there was things I was finding myself trying to, like, overcome in the game, like just... I didn't have a really good understanding of how the tag system worked, and I didn't have a good idea on, just sort of like how to make the characters sort of like have a certain kind of synergy, because tag fighting games, that's the whole basis of a tag fighting game. You get multiple characters at your disposal on one team, and the objective for you as a player is to kind of find the synergy with the characters that you either, really like and enjoy playing, or you just happen to know which of those characters have a good synergy in terms of combinations that you can do in team-up attacks and things like that. So, for the most part, I think that this game accomplishes that, but it doesn't really give you, like, the necessary, like, startup tools to give you that understanding on, like, how that synergy would work. So I did a couple breakdowns on... I spent a lot of time talking about the tag mechanics in this game because it's so daunting, This is the first game to kind of tout to have a 4v4, a team mechanic where you get 4 characters that you get to control at any given time as you're playing the game. So, for the uninitiated, basically, so let's just kind of break things down here. So essentially, when you start off on a match, let's rewind this back here to when it's like at the match start. Let's see, it's probably a lot faster to scrub this way. Okay. So let's just take the start of a round. So when you begin any kind of sort of match, you're only delegated 2 characters at your disposal at the start. So let's see here. When I went and played, I just basically my characters I picked. I'm on the right side on this one. So I picked as my primary character. I picked Iron Man, and then I went to Ghost Rider to put him in his, the second slot, which is referred to as the shooter assault or whatever, a shooter assist. Then the second slot that's in the middle, that's going to be what's called the vertical assist, and then the other one is assault, which is, from my understanding, I guess they do maybe the unique kind of like moves, like maybe there's like a shield a character will throw out, or something that just kind of, it's not like a direct attack. They give you like a horizontal attack, a vertical attack, and then some kind of special, assist. And depending on if you went through the tutorial or went through the command list, you'd find what the character would do depending on what slot you would put them at. Um, and that's kind of like how you have to assemble your team. So once you start the match, you only begin with your primary character and then the very first slot, which is shooter. So that means that you're going to only have, and other things too. So looking at the interface here, you got your time, you got at the top, if you're playing online, it lets you know what the rollback situation looks like. And then you obviously see what your opponents are going to do. On the left side of the screen where you see Star-Lord, there's a meter there. So because his move set has a unique mechanic to it, they give him a special gauge to let you know, like here's what makes Star-Lord's different from like other characters. He has these projectiles, and the button layout of the game basically is that you get a short attack, a medium attack, and a heavy attack, and then you have X on a PlayStation controller, by the way. But the bottom button would be your assemble button. So that's essentially how you would call out your guys. Then on the top of your controller, the triggers and the shoulder buttons, they give you some other additional things. This game is focused on accessibility and trying to get players to kind of jump right into a game without really having much knowledge on a fighting game. Like all the stuff I'm probably explaining would go over the heads of most casual people out there. So um, with that said, the shoulder buttons in this game, I forgot what R1 does. Oh, R1. That's like your unique button. That's basically like a button that allows you to do something unique to that character. Like Iron Man gets like a different kind of a blast, like projectile, and other characters will do something different with that. But it's not like a direct attack like your special attack. That's what's going to be the right trigger button. That will do all your special moves. So I always say they sort of smash broify this game by making it so that when you press a button in a direction, it does something. Um, doesn't do all directions, like up in something doesn't necessarily do anything specific, but back in something does, and forward and down, all that good stuff. I mean, I've kind of gone through this already with some of my other videos, so if you check out some of the, sort of deep dive stuff, I explain the controls, but for the most part, back to Star-Lord here. So with his unique button, he can change out his projectile types. He has a fire type, sort of like a lightning type, an ice type, and that sort of thing. And they do different things, have different properties. You can do different kind of setups, blah 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 blah. But let's just kind of start up a match, and and then lastly, the bottom gauge is your super gauge, where the zeros and all that. But this is the unique thing. So if you see the plus signs, right, and the bars, that's to kind of give you the indication that they're not available. Those are additional pips, as they call them, to where, like, if you unlock, and and here's the other unique thing with this game, is that you have to unlock the characters throughout the course of the match by meeting certain conditions. And one of those conditions is that if you smash them through the wall, where they fly into another part of the stage, then one of your other character slots will get unlocked, and then they unlock in the order of the assist types. So you got shooter, vertical, and then assault. I'm sorry, assault. And so you have to figure out how and what things you can do to kind of get your characters out as fast as possible, because you obviously will have more tools at your disposal, um, to be able to, kind of put together your team synergy, so to speak, right? All right. So, and then it's the same thing on the bottom. You get additional super meter. So, like at the start, you can only fill that up to, I don't know if it's like 50 or something like that. But basically, it's 25 and 25. Each of the little quarters there, or the little pips, represents like right now, Star-Lord has the ability to do at least one super. If the rest of it goes up, you know, you could do like two supers and other kind of mechanics in the game. And that's sort of like the basics of the menu system and everything. And at first glance, it seems like it's a lot, but it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you've played a lot of fighting games, most of this stuff is going to make sense to you. As to where, if you've never played a tag fighting game, some of this stuff might be a little new to you and maybe a little daunting, especially since you've got to maintain 4 characters at any given time. But the action starts like right there. So what's going on basically is that Star-Lord, let's take a look at what happens here. I'll try to rewind it back. So Star-Lord is getting me into his combo here. He's popping me down, he's doing his down attack there, and then there. He's switching out to his character. So that's what the assist calling looks like in this game. So I wish there was a way to do it like slow motion or by frame or something. Let me see, is there a way to do it? Yeah, there's a way to do it frame by frame. Yeah. So as he's, popping me down, he's going to call out. He's already got his other assist out, by the way. So he's met some kind of condition that allowed him to get his third character already. And so as he's knocking me down to the ground, he's going to press, see that he's tagging in somebody. So there's 2 ways to tag in a player, or I'm sorry, a character. One of those ways is going to be where you use what's called the assemble button. And that button calls out your guy and allows them to do some kind of an attack. If you just press it by itself, I think by default it's going to just do the shooter attack, or that character that's in that slot. So basically, wherever the box that your character is sitting in, that's the kind of assist type that's going to be used at the time you call them out. Most games have this. Invincible versus has, a similar kind of thing. Marvel vs. Capcom, Dragon Ball Fighters, Z, there's a ton of different types of fighting games that with multiple characters and that work the same way. But when you call them out, the other unique thing about this game is that if you decide you want to stay as that character rather than just calling them out to kind of help you do a hit real quick, you can hold the button right there. It gives you an opportunity to call out the person and make them stay out so that you can start to control them and continue on with your assault. Now, this is the thing that's been sort of like a big controversy and sort of like a mixed feelings, sort of situation with this game. Traditional tag fighting games that have either where they're just like in Mortal Kombat 1, the latest Mortal Kombat game, they have something called cameos. While they're, assists, they help you do extended combos that you wouldn't normally be able to do without having that secondary character come in there. But there's limitations on how many times, or how often you can call that character out. There's some type of a cooldown or some kind of a wait time before you can use them again. With this game, it has that same mechanic. However, the more characters you unlock on your team, the more times you can, opportunities you have to call out a character kind of within the same, window of time. And that's what makes this game very unique. And I don't think a lot of people were taking, grasp of that simple part of the mechanic, because when you play these games, you just want to press a button, call a guy out, have them do their thing, and then you are controlling your point primary character and doing your thing. But what makes this different, and I think that because there wasn't a training mode and people weren't allowed to really explore this stuff without maybe just playing the CPU over and over and over, or just going into the tutorial and finding a spot where, the characters have some meters for you to kind of play around and do things there. That's how I discovered some of the tagging stuff, to be honest. What I noticed is that, the strategy to this, I think, I'm just trying to break this down I guess in a fighting game player's mentality, as far as what tools are accessible. What I think this mechanic is cool, or why I think this mechanic is cool, is because the holding, the button to switch them out. I think this is cool because, you know, your characters are kind of like set in what role they're gonna be, and basically depending on what kind of assist attack they do, it'll allow you to do. I mean, I didn't do any fancy combos and stuff. This is just my thought process on what I think the tag switching might bring to the table as far as making this game stand apart from other tag games. Um, what I think is cool is that, you know, I could theoretically just call out Iron Man here and then just have him go away, and I can just continue doing something with Star-Lord here, right? See, Iron Man does his move, or actually, the computer decided to sort of stay as Iron Man, so he actually did the tag switch. Um, I think the uniqueness in this is that you can kind of set yourself up to get your characters positioned to be in and out of bad matchups. That's one big thing. Who don't like to do mirror matches. I won't say any names. Uh, but there are some players out there who kind of, it messes with their game, so to speak, if you're playing the same character as them. So when you have the ability to kind of hold and switch out a character and then keep them out there, you can set yourself up for, positioning yourself to create mismatches, right? So you may find that this one character is a very bad counter pick, to Iron Man or whoever, and then you can force yourself to kind of put them in an uncomfortable situation. So or you can just decide to not do that, and then basically just use them as the assist attack, and then continue and try to do a combo. But the other sort of meta level thinking or forward thinking of this is that once you start to have all your characters out, you know, um, depending on how you manage your call outs, because here's the other unique thing about this tagging system. You've got two tag buttons, and that's what makes this kind of a little annoying for people to kind of get a hold of at first, because before, to my understanding, the first beta, they didn't have what's called a quick assist. I think they only had this one assemble button where you call somebody out and then they're there, or you hold it and then you can keep them, out and all that stuff. But they give you a quick assist button, and that's going to be on the left trigger. What the quick assist is meant to be used for, it's for you to call out any one of your characters on your team. If you've got all four of them out, right, and you started off with Storm and Iron Man is your point character, depending on which direction you press, back, down, or right, or forward, you will call that specific assist. You can call them with the assemble button, the X button, But all that's going to do is just going to call them out and they're going to do a move. And in addition to that, there's meters associated to each assist. So that green bar up at the underneath the life bar, what that represents is the assemble gauge. The assemble gauge is going to be spent when you're doing certain types of defensive and offensive mechanics with your assists. So you can do counters, or you can do these fancy things where like the character will pop you up and then switch to another team member and then they hit them down back to the ground, and it expends the move. Or if you're doing manual combos, if you're doing like this game has like they call them link combos, chain combos, what's the other term in Street Fighter? Anyways, you tap out the different strengths of the attack. So short, medium, heavy, short, medium, and then a heavy, whatever kind of combo you can manually punch out on the buttons. But there's also auto combos. So if you just manually or consistently hit the same button multiple times, it'll do a hit, and then do something fancy. In the case of this game, if you're doing square, 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 and you have and you happen to have a team member available to call out, it'll auto combo and then call out an assist automatically. And calling them out doesn't cost a meter, right? But what also doesn't cost a meter is if you just manually call them out, or what they refer to as a raw tag. So you could also do a quick assist button and then press like back, and I could theoretically call out Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom then will be available. So I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but what using the quick assist button means that you'll be able to swap out to that character and stay as them without them doing an assist move. Like how if you just did the assemble button, Dr. Doom will come out and shoot a beam and then go away. Or if I decide to keep him out, I hold it. But that's the strategy and the tagging in this, and I think that's the part that's not clicking with people. The advantage of this kind of system, if you think about it, like I said, it allows you to set up bad matchups, or for the opponent. When they're like, you call in a character that's a mismatch for that one character, especially like if they're stuck in a combo, and then you can put in your cheap character if you know all the cheap mechanics with them and all that, and then they're in the game, in the face of the opponent, doing some stuff. And then you can also, the other sort of strategy to this is that, let's say if Dr. Doom isn't your best character at that slot, you just kind of had to pick him because that Storm's shooter assist is better than Dr. Doom's, or vice versa. Let's say that Storm is better at being assault, or the assault slot. Then there's ways to get your characters repositioned into different slots at any given time. That's the part of the game that I think people were not grasping, and I think that's so cool because I found this out by just kind of playing around and noticing, like, I was trying to pay attention to how the meters were being depleted and all that stuff. And what I noticed is, like, one of the quick things, like, if you want to get your team members out a lot quicker, if you do the auto combos and then, where it'll automatically call out your assists, once you complete those combos and then, it knocks and does one of those little wall splats like what you see right there, then that immediately gets you your character. So see now, look at both our sides. We both, like, because I lost the round, that's a condition to get a character out. But because he knocked me through the wall at the end of that round, he gets all of his team. So now look at his side. He's got his entire meter gauges all at his disposal. Storm, that's her gauge to do the her wind attacks and things like that, or wind specials. But then the 3 green bars at the top is the assemble gauge. Now they can do like 3 different types of counters or 3 different types of offensive things with his team members. And then in addition to that, he's got all of his life or super bars now, so he can do like 3 supers in a row if he wanted, in combination. So that's the sort of like dynamics with the tagging in this. And I think after playing the beta and spending kind of like 2 hours just sort of playing around with that, without a training mode, but mind you, that to me is what kind of made me, that's what sold me on the 4v4 thing about this game. Um, it's a little observation. I don't think for some people, they may not feel that this is game changing, but when you think about it, as far as like, when you get to a level where you know what you're doing with all the characters and you know you don't have to think about inputs and all that other stuff, you're gonna have some pretty good strategies around that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's cool. One of the downsides to it is I do feel that like in the beginning when nobody knows anything, you kind of feel like everybody is doing the same thing, you know. And that's because like like I'll give you an example. Like in the beginning when I was playing and just sort of like, knowing that there's two different assist buttons, like, to call out your assist, I would continually use the trigger, not realizing I'm switching in a character that I don't mean to keep out. And every time I'm in a combo, I want to switch to another character as I'm doing a combo or calling another guy to do an additional hit. I kept mashing on not assemble, but quick assist. And when you do that, it keeps the character out. And I'm like, why is this getting interrupted? I didn't want Doctor Doom. I mean, you can even hear it in my first day of playing this game. I'm saying to myself, like, I didn't press that, or I didn't hold the button to keep Doctor Doom out. But not realizing that the quick assist is just a quick way to get your guy in there, it started to click, like, oh, I see. So I have the option to get a guy in that I intentionally want, and I can take him out of that slot and replace him with someone else to get him into that slot. So there's this tandem back and forth thing, like, and you have to figure out what's the route you want to take, like, to get a character where I need them to be so I can do my setups. I might find some kind of special setup where Iron Man's vertical attack is good to start a pop-up of some sort or continue some kind of pop-up momentum. Then I can, if I have the resource available or the assist is available to tag in, I could quick tag him in, to get him in there and then continue that combo. They give you, and the other thing too is a lot of people were kind of complaining about the timing or how the time duration that a tag stays out there. Like when you do that, like that specific tag where they do an assist and they've completed the animation and the attack itself, and then that thing that says hold is sitting up there, like right there. See, that means that he called that person out using the assemble button. So anytime you use the assemble button, that's the only time that you're going to see hold to switch, right? Now, it got me thinking, like, well, what about, like, if this game had, you know how, like, when you play Smash Brothers, right? You can do, like, I guess it's a four on four, match where if you have 8 controllers, like 8 people can play at the same time. Well, think about it in a tag sense. What if you can do that in this game? If they have a mode or an option like 2XKO does, where each slot can be a human player, can you imagine having 4 people on a team? Like, this would be like an amazing esports game to watch as far as fighting games are concerned. I don't know if that's possible, but it could be because, it got me thinking, like, they made this with modern controls. They made it so that it's accessible so anybody can kind of pick up this controller, press some buttons in a direction, and they're doing something interesting or fun or offensive. Whether or not they are good at blocking and defending themselves and countering and all that, that remains to be seen. But if you think of this in a setting where people know what they're doing, be it casual or not, and you've got 4 people on one side and 4 people on the other side, imagine how crazy that's going to be, especially like when you like if they have a mechanic where the primary character is the person that dictates when to tag in there, and people work together and practice learning how to, like, hey, tag me into, and all this stuff, or just use my assist for this. And then, like, let's say the person that gets called in sees an opening because he's, in the background like that, and he can press that button and hold to switch to be in the match. It's I don't know. I think that's the forward level thinking. I think people need to try to look at this game and see if that's something that's possible. I mean, I think that'd be pretty dope. If you ask me. But that's just my opinion. Um, but at first glance, when you're watching this game, there's just a lot of shit happening and a lot of movement and flashy stuff happening, and it almost just feels like you don't know what's going on. But look at that. I mean, that right there already is like one, two, three, four, five characters on screen at the same time, because of the tagging and all that other stuff. So that brings me up to the assemble button. So again, using the assemble button is just going to be like an assist attack. So you press that button, or whatever direction you pick, it's going to pick that specific assist and that specific character, and they're going to do their specific, move that's automated, that just kind of comes out and does it. Like right there, Captain America's move, I think because he's in the what's referred to as the assault assist type, that's his move. He does a shield. So, you know, being that Iron Man was probably the main man in there, or well, it looks like Ghost Rider on my side. He's my primary at that point. But you can call with the assemble button. You can call out everybody, and it doesn't. I don't think it doesn't cost a meter as long as you're not doing like combos. The moment you start doing combos and you call out assists, that's when it eats up your green assemble gauges there. And so that's where like a meter management becomes a very big deal. And if you know how to call in your characters without expending a resource, that's like meta level gameplay if you think about it, because you know that person or that player is conserving that meter, because you have access to some pretty strong offensive counters and all that kind of stuff, offensive and defensive counters, and so you kind of need that meter. So yeah, but yeah, that's exactly how it is. But see, it's just seamless. It just you press a button, they come out. If you just do it without keeping them out there, or do it where they're not in a combo, it won't cost you any kind of meter. As you can see in my side, I've been calling out all these team members, and I haven't wasted that gauge just yet. One of the things that gauge does, the symbol gauge, is that you can do these like continual. They're not really combos. They're just sort of like, it just puts the opponent, or it stops them from doing something, and they have to wait till you finish, doing your counter on them. I forgot what they call it. It's called the assemble smash. And the assemble smash is basically when you press the short attack button and the assemble button at the same time, and there's this orange shadow that comes out and kind of visually giving you a visual cue that they're doing that smash counter, or smash assemble smash, or whatever it's called. And what it does is, like I said, if an opponent is coming at you with a punch, or if they're kind of dashing, and or they're trying to run up and throw you or something weird like that. If you do that assemble smash, it pops them back, and then your first character hits them, and then immediately the second assist character from one of the slots comes out and does something. And then if you have all three of your gauges, you can they'll keep coming out if you keep pressing X or the assemble button to keep hitting them. Like, so maybe I want to 1, 2 hit them twice, but save that last gauge for something else. You can do that. I'm just trying to see. I know this is a lot of just kind of long-winded talking about the assists, but I don't think people really spent the right amount of time kind of understanding how the assists work. Like, they understand how to use them, but I don't think they tried to understand like what the possibilities are with them. because basically it's like quick assist is to get your guy in there, right? But assemble is a way to stagger your assist calling, if you think about it. So, like, I guess my thought process here is that like right now I have Doctor Doom out, and I only have one green attack or assemble gauge, so that means I only have my only one counter available. Time could be running out, my life bar could be low, and that counter could be that crucial comeback moment, right? And then if you can use that as an opportunity to set up the rest of your team members, like right now I've got Doctor Doom and I've got Captain America in the that shield or that assault slot. But let's say I want to get Doctor Doom in just enough so that I can put him in Captain America's spot and swap the assist roles. What I would do in this instance, since I have a hit confirm here and I'm in a combo, and I've got his Iron Man um, on the like interrupted, like he can't do anything right now, right? As long as the assist is available, I could then theoretically hold forward and X or the assemble button and have Ghost Rider come out and do an attack only, or I can just call him out and keep him out because I've got Iron Man stuck and I can get Ghost Rider in to do some kind of attack right now. And I don't know what happens, but the game was the net code was freezing right there. But yeah, so I end up calling out Ghost Rider, but I use the assemble button. So he's gonna do his attack, right? Boom, right there. I can decide to keep him out because I got that hit, or I can hold X and keep him there and continue to do some kind of a combo. But what I decided to do is I just decided to use Ghost Rider as an assist only, and so I use a special attack with Doctor Doom. It looks like, yeah. And then he gets hit, he's juggled, and see, because Iron Man is still out there, I could have theoretically, if Iron Man was back, and look, I have two characters out right there. So, that's kind of cool. Like, like thinking about that. Like, now the only thing is, the only downside to this is the moment you have a character out, because look how long Iron Man has just been out here. Because I didn't even know what happened in this exchange to where Iron Man is just out. So let's take a look at like how this whole thing even happened. So I go in for some kind of an attack. He blocks it. I try to follow up with either an auto combo or a manual combo or whatever. He's still blocking. I have no overhead, right? I do a special attack, or that's just the ender or something of his combo. I then do a raw assist, assemble, and Iron Man does his attack, but he's just frozen there because he's still doing his attack. Oh yeah, he ducks down. See that low? So that's what actually got him. That's what got him to not block low anymore. When I block stuns him right here, Iron Man comes out, and I had enough time for his animation to finish here, Doctor Doom, to where my Iron Man dives in there and does his attack, but it's blocked high. But then, does he go low, or is that just his finishing animation? Yeah, that's just his finishing animation. But see, I then do this attack that hits him low. So you see that? That is the sort of like mind game mix-up stuff that can happen. And apparently, what I might have done in this instance too is I might have done Iron Man switch in a combo because yes, because see when Doctor Doom, I mean when Iron Man was blocking my Doctor Doom string here, look at my assemble gauge at the top. This means that I'm doing an auto combo, and that means I'm doing square square. And what happens with square square is that it automatically calls out an assist type. Now that's the problem. I don't know what type. I don't see like Iron Man is his slot. He's technically supposed to be doing a vertical attack, but what happens is when you do an auto combo that will call out an assist, it just does a shooter attack. Excuse me. It just does a shooter attack, which goes horizontally. But it forces the Iron Man to block high, and then I'm able to get that attack in, and then I call out, and this is when Ghost Rider starts to come out, and I also do it as an auto combo. So, but I probably at that point could have just done. And this is another thing I learned during the beta survey. They ask you a lot of really good questions, by the way. They give you questions to sort of, for you to give them feedback on your experience, and they ask you stuff like, was the gameplay repetitive and boring? Was the lobby system fun to use or intuitive? Was it easy to understand, like how to use the assist, and all those kinds of questions. But one of the things in there that they ask is they ask you if you knew whether or not you knew something was in the game. And one of those things was, well, you can mash down square square square, do an auto combo. You can mash medium, triangle triangle triangle, and that'll do an auto combo and do a super. And then conversely, if you do circle circle circle, that'll do a combo into the ultimate super if you've got the meter for it. But one of the things they don't tell you in the tutorial, and it wasn't until the survey, is that if you're doing an auto combo, you can get out of that by just holding back. So that means that while I was doing this exchange here, if I would have just held back, I might not have wasted the assemble gauge, and I could have just done some kind of other combo to keep the meter and maybe keep the assist to actually use them the way I intended, which would be like if Iron Man was in the vertical assist type, and rather than him automatically coming out and doing a shooter attack instead, I might have been able to hold back, do some kind of a combo, and then press down and X, and that would have called out Iron Man. Or I could have switched him out if I want to repurpose his role. Like I don't want Iron Man in vertical. I need him in shooter position. I could have maybe done a quick assist and hit down, because if you remember, pressing the direction will call out either like left since I'm on player 2 side, left would call out Ghost Rider, down would call out Iron Man, and right would call out Captain America. And if I did quick assist, if he was available, he would have just came out immediately while Doctor Doom was doing his thing, and then I could have continued doing some kind of combo with Iron Man after the fact. And so it's just like this stuff happens so fast that if you don't really look at it under a lens, you don't realize what your options actually are. And that's what makes this game very different in my opinion. And I think like when they flesh out some of the mechanics and how they work, because I think they're going to keep the way this tag system, I honestly think this is how they're going to keep it. They may tweak it in some kind of way, maybe like the characters may come out faster or won't stay out as long or whatever, but I think that this system they have in place at the moment, I think this works with tags. I think that's a really cool way to do it. Yeah, no, it's just super. That's his ultimate. I love this ultimate. Doom backs out. Doctor Doom is fun. I actually had a lot of fun using Doctor Doom. People were like, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, which they are fun. Ghost Rider is also another character I like a lot, and Spider-Man. But I think Doctor Doom is like a lot of fun to use because
He's just fast. He's slow and kind of clunky, but he's kind of fast. Comparative to at least like Marvel, like his movements and stuff. It's very cool. He's got like and then see. So this was the other kind of downside with this game, and the beta at least. We had a lot of what do you call it, desyncs and stuff like that. Like I think this is a match I was playing with somebody that was like in like Africa or something, because I was doing stuff like going to different servers just to test out like the the ping range of going into a completely different, part of the world, and it worked, for a little bit. I mean, there was a match I did in Japan that played pretty good. It had some hiccups, but it played, and it was playing on Wi-Fi. Like the other person had Wi-Fi, so that's a good testament to the net code, I guess. Then again, I don't know how many total players they did for the this beta. I think they most likely did like a stress test. That's why a lot of people got into this one. Um, but yeah, the net code when it was working seemed to be pretty fine. But that was something I brought up in one of my videos, the previous videos too, as I said that I think that oh, that's another video altogether. That's why. One of the things I said about the netcode is I think the modernized controls, the simple inputs, are put in one to help with the integrity of the netcode because you've got four characters out, and the moment that new character comes out, you're sending a lot of input information if you're doing motion inputs and stuff. And that's another sort of like hot topic about this game is like, is it worth it for the motion inputs? I say yes and no. There are instances where it's worth it to use the motion inputs because you start to flow and do your combos, and then like you just have that muscle memory of playing X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel versus Capcom or whatever game, or like you're doing some kind of aerial assault, ABC combo into a jump cancel, upwards attack or something, and because they're up in the air, you're ready to do that input for Fireball and Super. Like my muscle memory happens to be like I think of it like Marvel vs. Capcom, which you shouldn't do. But once I get into those combos, I'm over here ready to do a fireball and pressing two buttons at the same time, which would be like the two punches to do like an air super fireball or something. And that's just not the case. And you don't have to do that because they simplify it. By pressing a direction, you can do your specials with the trigger, the R trigger, right trigger on a PlayStation controller. Or, I'm sorry, the supers actually are pressing the trigger and the unique button at the same time. That does a quick, boom, level one super. And I think there are a total of only two supers. Like you got a normal regular super where it just does something fancy and does some good damage, and then you get the cinematic one where they're doing the whole animation and showing them do some pose at the end. That's like your ultimate. But they they do your special inputs, motion inputs like this. So if you do a fireball motion or backwards fireball motion or a dragon punch or down down, those are the motion inputs for doing specials in this game. There's no charging moves, so there's no holding back for 2 seconds and pressing forward a la Sonic Boom. But if you do it with the weak attack, it does its like like what would be the equivalent of a jab version of a fireball move or a jab version of a dragon punch move. If you do it with the triangle or the medium attack, it'll do what's the equivalent of a fierce dragon punch or a fierce or a strong, fireball motion or a heavy fireball motion. But the circle button, however, that's how you do your EX moves. Now, traditionally in fighting games, EX moves are doing some kind of motion input and pressing two buttons at the same time or
whatever, but you don't have to do that. And that will throw you off a lot in this game if you're used to playing games that require you to press multiple buttons, to do an enhanced version of it. And so you'll find yourself burning out meter and all that, but um, it's simplified at least. And then the modern input way to do it would be to just simply hold the or the trigger button and then press the corresponding buttons. So like if you wanted to do a special fireball, just a regular fireball, it's just forward and the trigger. But then if you do it with short, see, that's the thing. I don't remember what happens when you press the direction and then the button. I just know that when you do the trigger and you press the buttons, it'll do a variation of a different kind of variation that you could manually do. But I don't know. That was one of the confusing things at first too. But that's how it works. Like I said, I found that I would find myself switching between doing a manual input for certain scenarios. If I did a hit confirm and I knew that I could continue a combo after that, I would proceed with my fireball input and then do the attack or whatever. But, I did find myself over time using a lot of the auto combos because it's, you're rewarded like immediately. It's like there's no incentive for using the motion inputs. I think that's kind of maybe the problem. If maybe they allowed you to do, frame perfect like version of a dragon punch or something, it would reward you in some kind of damage play or something, but I don't think they're gonna do that. Yeah, what just happened here? What did I even do? I'm trying to pay attention to like some of the combos and things. Let's see. Yeah, I think I just got him in some normal ass combo. Oh, and that wasn't even me. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun with this game. I mean, I'm kind of missing playing it already because once you crack the code of the assist mechanics, you want to explore more, and that's why I didn't spend a lot of time playing people online. I mean, I played people online and, just to kind of get a feel of what it felt like to play, what people, try to get an observation of what people are doing with the characters and stuff like that, but oh, that was just a comeback. Nice comeback. I spent more time playing around with the game, like in the playing CPU and in the training mode. I mean, training mode, the tutorial mode. I basically made my own tutorial mode, or training mode, by going into tutorial and going to sections of the tutorial that allowed you to do like the best place to do practicing, what I found was when they start to let you do the tags, like, trying to teach you how to do the tag mechanics, because they'll give you meter, and then like if you do the best one would be like where if you had all your meter, all your super and all of your assemble gauges, you could then, that would be like the one to do the practice mode on, because you don't have to complete the objective. If you just kind of do something that doesn't complete what they're asking you to do, you could just sit there all day with all 3 characters. The restriction though is that you're only going to be whatever 4 characters, or that were in that part of the, excuse me, whoever that part of the tutorial. I was on Maximilian Dude's stream talking about, or listening to, his thoughts and everything, and sort of his criticisms. I mean, I felt a few of his viewpoints on things, but I think like some of the stuff he maybe didn't like about it, and I get it. He's played these things, he knows fighting games in and out. But I think some of the stuff was his sort of like critiques or criticisms were one, because there wasn't a tutorial or a training mode, and not enough time was spent really processing the tag stuff. Because I like, and he did make a very valid point. Like, the game tutorial doesn't really. I mean, it explains stuff and it tells you and teaches you how to do something, but it doesn't explain it in a way that lets you understand why you need to use the mechanics in a certain way. And one of those things was the tag mechanic. And that's why a lot of people didn't understand how to use their team properly. Because the tutorial just tells you how to activate them and how to use them. But it doesn't explain the fact that you can rotate out the slots. Because, again, when I first loaded the game up, went into a game, I'm like, okay, I want Captain America to be this slot, I want this character to be this slot, and I want this character to be this slot. My thought process and my thinking was that assist type, that's all they're going to ever be when I call them out. And I'm thinking of it like in Marvel, or, all these other, the regular tag fighting, where like I just press a button and he comes out and does this thing. Well, that is there, but excuse me, my throat's just getting dry. What they don't explain to you, though, is there's methods, and there's basically ways to get your guys in and out. Like, if they maybe gave a description, like saying, like, the possibilities of your tags are endless, where you can call this guy out, but if you want to switch him into a different assist role, you could do that in this game. Like, you don't know that until you really pay attention to the meters and then what sort of like is happening. Like, and then to make matters worse, they had mechanics in there that were like hidden that they don't tell you about at all. Like two things that they didn't tell you in this game. They tell you that you can throw. What they don't tell you is that you automatically dash up when you're going to throw. Now, I didn't like that at first. I thought it was annoying because I'm like, if you do this, you're just gonna run and get hit. Like if they see, oh, look at that, it's this super ambiguous running throw that you're doing. I'm gonna, right there, right here. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I am most likely. I don't think. No, I was probably the left side playing the computer. I want you to pay attention to this, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. If I can find it. It's when Kamala's on the right side of me and she runs up to me. I see her miss through, and that right there was the assemble smash. Hold on, because it's just funny, because it's like a funny situation where, okay, it's probably right here. Yeah, they ask another thing too, like in the survey. It was like, did you like how the startup of the match was, or something like that? And one of the things, I think I was kind of neutral on it with my answer, but one of the things I kind of don't like how the way the match starts. Okay, so there's this too, and they don't tell you this as far as like the tutorial is concerned. At the beginning, before anything happens, when your character intros happen, when you see the characters moving around, you actually have the ability to figure out which character you want to swap out with. You know how, like, when you watch fighting game tournaments, right? And you see a guy pick his character, or like sit on a character, but he doesn't pick him, and then he just starts moving the controller around like he's going to pick somebody else. What sometimes those players are doing, they're waiting to see like what character the opponent's going to pick so they can counter pick to a character. Well, like CVS2 gives you the ability to, like, you can pick like in the beginning you're picking your characters, but then they take you to another screen where you can pick the order of the characters. And again, it's like it's meant to be for counter picks, and then you can hide what counter pick you're going to be by pressing a certain combination of buttons. They tell you on the screen, like, if you want to hide, you have to press those combinations of buttons to pick that specific slot. So in the beginning, the order can change at the start of the match. Well, that you can kind of do here, just but in the game, right? Like I can say, like, all right, I'm going to start off with Kamala, and that might be my worst character, if my opponent knows that, and I can have her as my primary slot, and then I can pick Ghost Rider and blah blah blah, pick my team. At the beginning, before the round starts, uh, you can move around. The moment you can move around, you actually can switch to a different character. And before it says round one, fight, before it finishes that, and you'll stay as that character. So it's basically kind of a way to bait people into counter picking, I guess. But anyways, back to the throw animation thing. I'm just waiting for her to run up and throw because I want to talk about this and explain why, you know, they should have explained this in the tutorial. Right there. Okay, so you saw her just do that lick swing. Okay, so now that I've got my clip here, um, dashing in this game is accomplished by hitting forward forward or back back, and you can do it in the air, you can do it on the ground. But what they give you in this game is a dash macro. And for those of you who are not initiated, because I don't know who out there are my audience, a, a dash macro just basically means they give you a button to do the dash. Instead of having to do the input itself, it's just a faster, less zero input error way of dashing, because dashing in fighting games is a great deal, especially like if it's part of like setups or retreating or getting in someone's face and all that kind of stuff. Now in this game they have a throw, which can be set as a throw button if you want, but in the game a throw is meant to be used by hitting the two attack buttons, which would be medium and the heavy or strong attack. And if you press them, though, the character does an actual run. So let me see. Is this where she does it? So when I get, oh, it's because I was fast forwarding it. Sorry, I mean rewinding it. So when Star Lord gets knocked out over there, she runs up, right? Now in a fighting game, when a character or a player is grounded like that, the objective is to run up to them as fast as possible so that they have no chance to attack. Like right now, look at that. Look how close I am. His feet are still, he's in mid-air bounce, which means that I could dash up and do some kind of a low attack or something, or call out an assist that maybe can come from the ground up and pop him up and whatnot. But what she decides to do, or the computer decides to do in that instance, right there, look, he's still grounded. Now, the other thing too they don't explain is that there are tech rolls. You probably, what a tech roll is basically if you get hit on the ground like that, if a person is running up to you, I could roll through them so that they can't attack me when I'm on the ground, or I can roll backwards and retreat if I want to, if they do something. It's a way to basically make them miss. And what happens when you hit the ground and you flash white. Now, what I don't know is if any of that kind of defensive mechanic costs some kind of meter. Like maybe you don't get to tech roll if you don't have enough of your special meter down there on the bottom where it says 9 or 146. Those bars. In some games, those kinds of mechanics like tech rolling or quick get up, or whatever they call it, they sometimes can cost meter, and that means that you're expending another resource that you could use for something else. So, but she runs up, right? But see, there you go. Remember I was talking about tech rolls, and guess what happens? I tech roll, which I don't know how it works. I don't know if you have to press two buttons or just press the direction the moment you hit the ground. And I'm pretty sure, because this is an Arc Systems Works game. If you play any of the Arc System Works game, from Grand Blue Fantasy, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, uh, Guilty Gear, Xrd, to Guilty Gear Strive, to any other Blaze Blue, any of these games that they make, um, they always tell you these kind of mechanics, and they're pretty extensive. Like so much so that like there are like several screens and several, and like if you play Grand Blue Fantasy, they show it to you for every different character, for every different kind of situation, So, but anyhow, I end up doing an unintentional ground roll. But see, if this character was dashing to attack me, they would have whiffed over there, and then I'm free and clear of, some kind of attack. But what this character is not doing is a dash. This character is doing a throw because she stops, and you see that little arm whiff. Boom! She was trying to throw me. So I guess in this instance, a tech roll will beat a throw because the stupid throws in here dash automatically. So if you didn't get that, the moment she jumps into attacks me from the air, it hits me to the ground. If you press the throw button, the characters will automatically do like a dash. And what I don't like about this is that it's so ambiguous that you can see it coming from a mile away. So obviously I'm pressing some kind of buttons or mashing something to be like, no, don't hit me while I'm on the ground. And she's lunging, and I'm like, oh god, she's gonna do something. And the tech roll is enough to negate a throw, apparently, because she whiffs. But look how close she is. Now, me as a gameplay tester for this beta, am I to think that it's a glitch or a bug and I should have gotten thrown? Or is there a moment of invincibility because I'm still flashing white and she's in that animation right there? And that is the end of the throw, technically. And all it's doing is animating you know, the throw animation, because that's not a hit. That's not an attack. I did a video where I was playing around with the throws. I'm like, okay, so here's throws, and I'm like, oh wait, I dashed on accident, and then all of a sudden I saw her do that arm swing. I'm like, wait a minute, that was actually the throw. So yeah, it kind of sucks to be able to like to automatically dash and throw. Like you don't have the choice of dashing, like and doing it manually is what I'm getting at. So the positive side to this though is it looks exactly like a dash, like one for one. When you do a dash, that's what a dash looks like. It's just that once they and the other thing about dashes in this game, which I explain in one of the videos, is that dashes can be like they can be interrupted. So you can't interrupt them and do like what's called a wave dash, where you can continually like move back and forwards like really fast. You can't do that in this game. And think what I think I pointed out was that I think it's that way because they make the throw like a fake looking dash, like you're kind of doing like a faux dash, right? Because at the end goal of this faux dash is that's your throw animation. So and maybe they do that to simplify the fact that like you can dash up and throw people, because like in Street Fighter games, well, if you don't know, in Street Fighter games there's these throw baits where you can bait somebody into like low kicking them, and then you can dash up to them real quick and then enter into throw because they think you're going to do the low kick again or something, or they think you're going to do an overhead. There's this sort of like rock paper scissors sort of thinking. And for this, I don't know. I mean, you see it. I mean, you see it coming a mile away. So it's like what I was getting at is that I don't think that like you can dash up to someone and make them think that you're going to throw them, because throws can come out pretty fast when you do these dash throws, right? So it's like I don't know. It's just there's just something weird about not having it where you can just manually do that yourself. You know, you got a dash button. Why make the throw animated to be a dash? Like, what purpose does that serve? And the only thing I can think of is that you can fake like you're gonna do a throw. Like let's say I did get hit by this throw, right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna get hit by that again, and I reset myself and push them away or do something to get that character on the other side of the screen, and then they dash at me, you know, and then interrupt it by stopping and doing an attack instead. So I think that's maybe the way to use the throws in the game, but I don't know. I'm kind of like on the fence about the fact that the the dashes kind of like are automatically throws. I think it's kind of weird. Another thing too, when I was talking about the startup game, like you know how I was saying like you can switch out your character right in the beginning of the match. I mean, other games have kind of done similar things. I know Marvel 3, I believe, if you held a specific set of buttons while you pick, you know, like you pick your team, you can switch like who's going to start out first. You know, like a hidden way of bringing out the character. You know, because it has you know, it has intros and the characters kind of come out and do like, you know, hey, I'm Captain America, I'm gonna kick your ass, and uh, you can press and hold something, and then like Captain America is actually not the first character out; it'll be like Wolverine instead or something. You know, with this game, you can just physically like, you know, dash back and forth, kind of taunt your character, playing around, like you know how like people just kind of wiggle the joysticks to kind of psych themselves up for the round. Yeah, and you can press and hold. But what I was going to say is that because of that reason, the moment people are ready and get, you know, the match says fight, people are in your face and like in a blink of an eye, like literally. And I think that they need to have what's called a push block mechanic. So a push block in fighting games basically means like I can block an attack that's coming in, but if I find that like I'm stuck in that block position and I can't do anything until I'm out of that animation of blocking, there's a mechanic where you can press something and it'll push that character, the opponent, away from you enough to where you can get out of the block stun basically and do some, you know, fight back basically. So, like right there, she's blocking and I do some kind of attack and I've got her pigeonholed into the corner. So like, you know, well, that was just because I did the what's called the assemble smash. But if I was if she were to if that little flash, if that happened to be a block right here, which it wasn't, it was this is like a counter. This is a defensive mechanic. So when you are in a situation like me or her, I'm lunging at the character and I'm getting ready to do some kind of a combo, and you have the meter to do it, which they have all three of their meters. You can press the what do you call it? Weak attack and the assemble button, and it's like a counter. It makes me miss. It takes her out safely, and then it hits me so that she can then swap out to one of the other characters. And if you hit them with the other automated assist, you press the assemble button again to use a different character. And then, but he stops there. But the opponent could keep that going. Like when Iron Man does that little down kick, if I press X right as the kick is about to hit him, and the kick hits, then a different like Spider-Man will come out and do the same thing. He'll do like some kind of attack and pop him back up in the air, and then I can press X one more time because I have three assemble gauges, and then you know that fourth character will come out and do an attack. So that's another thing you could do. Now, one thing that would make that kind of crazy is if defensively, and this is a thing, and I don't know if this would just kind of make the game like too complicated or too like it maybe eliminates the rock paper scissors thing. Is let's say if I because okay, I think of it like this. In Mortal Kombat 11 and in Mortal Kombat 1, when you're doing those things called the X-ray attacks, which is basically supers, and Injustice also has this. If you press the two top shoulder buttons, they come out and do some, they break your ribs and run and kick you on the jaw and then stab you in the eye. Well, each of those sections of the animation hit you. When they hit you, if you as the opponent or the person getting hit by it, you can press a button and it reduces the damage if you time it perfectly. I think what they should do in this game, you're already exposed because this person just mashed the assemble smash by hitting weak attack and assemble. I think what they should do to maybe like, because like look, I'm almost on the last leg of my life over here, or not. Well, the computer is, but let's say if that bar on the right side is mine, and this is happening to me with that little bit of life, I'm gonna probably die the moment the other character gets called out if he decides to continue doing this assault. So what I think they should do defensively, if I have the meter to do it, right? If I've got my assemble gauges, why not give the person either the ability to break this or do something that can call out a different character to interrupt their move? Because they do have that, but you can only do it on the ground, and they call those the crossover counters. One second. The crossover counter is basically the same kind of purpose, except that you do it when you're on either on block. Yeah, you have to press backwards and the same buttons, and you'll do what's called a crossover counter. What'll happen is the screen will flash white, and your character swaps out to a new person to hit them out of whatever they're doing. But if a person has got impeccable timing, and their timing is like godlike, they can counter that counter by doing their own, and they call that the crossover reflect. And then they even have it so much that if you do it like right at the right frame of animation, you'll get a perfect crossover reflect. Now, I don't know what incentive that does other than it maybe like it staggers them or just pops them out, but I would think that if what's the reward for doing something, like that? Like that takes like a high degree of timing and skill. Like what's the reward for that? So that's why I think like maybe they should add some kind of defensive mechanic for when you're getting this, because this happens to you a lot in the game. Here, let me just let it play out, because I'm sorry, I was doing a lot of talking and analysis explaining, but this happens to you a lot in the game. But and then like another character comes out. It happens a lot. Oh, there was my throw. Now, so let's see what happens there. So I get hit, and I do a roll. Oh, I see. Okay, so after I did a roll, but see then, and this is what I say, like dashing and throwing. I'm gonna call it throw dashing because it's a throw dash or a dash throw, because you don't manually do it. You automatically do it. It's an automatic dash throw. Um, it doesn't look like she was running up to do a throw. She was doing a dash, because that dash animation, the dash automated dash throw, it has a specific distance before it does the throw. Like they run a couple steps and then the throw happens. But see, she interrupts it right there. She stops herself. And then I do a roll, and then I run up but I'm doing a throw. And so she's doing a dash as soon as I'm getting ready to do my throw. Because once that smoke comes out of their feet, that's how you know they're doing a dash. So I go up and I do my dash, automated dash throw. And you'll get that throw. So, does a dash throw beat a normal dash? I don't know. But in that case, it looks like it did. And this was the new X-Men stage, too, by the way. I forgot to mention things about it, Now that I've got, like, actual clips and we can kind of look at it, from without paying attention to playing. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in the background. You got, like, yeah, that looks like that's Psylocke right there. What's going on? Does she have, like, looks like she's wearing, like, or is she doing her or her, her psychic, psionic eyes or whatever? Because it looks like she's wearing a mask, or or she's like got like weird hair or something. But it looks maybe she's using her psychic or psionic thing. I can't tell. Or is that just some kind of head dress she's got on? I can't tell. Or she just turned a weird way. No, I can't tell. Is there a way? I think there's a way to zoom in. Yeah, there's a way to zoom in on this thing. Let me see something. Yeah, pan zoom. Let's take a look. I just want to see what the hell is she doing. Yeah, I was right. So it looks like she's doing like her. So Psylocke has this thing where she, remember if you played X-Men Children of the Atom or X-Men vs Street Fighter, she does the Psy Blast, and it looks like butterflies coming out of her face. That's what that is. So okay. Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good idea. Now we can kind of like maybe look at other parts of the stage. Because I really wanted to see like what was going. I couldn't tell what was going on at the time. So there's what's that Archangel or whatever, and then up here, there's somebody up here. I mean, there's people that can hang up in that little balcony where the X, yeah, up here. And then there's some instances like if you don't have Storm on your team, like Storm's in the background. And there's all the speculation, like what's gonna be like, if these are gonna be characters that'll actually be in the game or whatever. And there's what's that? Is that Colossus in them? Doctor X or Professor X? And then you got Iceman. And then what is Professor X doing? Because I saw like it's like some like some so like oh no, that's just some stuff from the mansion. No, but there's like, yeah, he's like using his powers for something. Because at first when I saw this stage, I was like, I don't think there's really much thing going on. There's a couple characters in the background, but they're kind of animated, and each time the rounds change, different characters show up, and different characters are animated in the background. Oh, just a crossover. So let's take a look crossover, because we were just talking about that. So yeah, so crossovers can only occur when you're in a block stun, and it's a get off me type of situation, but it costs a meter. So as Doctor Doom, I'm getting pummeled, and Kamala's running up to me, and I do my little tech roll. But doing a tech roll in a corner is bad because you have no space anymore. So a tech roll forward might have been a better option since she's dashing. And then she stops to do a Attack? Yeah, so that meant that she's doing a dash. So that's what I was getting at is like I think like maybe dash and dash throw can be kind of deceiving. Like, you can't if you're at this distance right here, it's probably hard to tell if they're doing a dash or a dash throw. You cannot tell. Like input wise, you can sort of see a character when they're doing forward and they're doing a jerking motion with the character's animation is like kind of jerking forward. But I think because they give you the dash button, you don't get that effect on the character. And so then you have to guess whether it's going to be a throw or a dash. So, yep. And then she runs in. Let's see. She runs in, does her block, it looks like. I mean, I do my block. And then she stops. And then she's just going to attack. But because that one attack and I have 1 meter, and I just got that meter back, by the way, Doctor Doom just says, I'm out, dog. He rolls backwards, and the Captain America then comes out. So here we go. That's what I wanted to understand. So check this out. Again, this is all like cool observation on the tagging mechanics. And this is maybe my theory on this. So if I'm in a situation like this, I call out Captain America. What I didn't realize is that crossover attack, you get to switch your character. Now, in other games, the character just comes out and does the hit, and then they're just in there. But in this case, if I want to stay as Doctor Doom, and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to get you off of me, I could press and hold the assemble button, but I don't. But look what Captain America's doing. He's doing his upwards attack. If I since I don't I decide and look, you can still keep him out. Look how long you have the opportunity to keep him out. That's through his whole animation of his uppercut, all the way down until he lands. Look how much time. Like that's the whole point of this is like you have so much time to be able to call out another assist because Doctor Doom is just chilling there. I'm not, I'm not switching to Captain America. He's in his animation for his assist. So what that should be telling me is that Doctor Doom should be available to either move and pursue in the air or but see, you know, in tag fighting games when you get juggled like that, there's only a small window of time before that the opponent can pop out. So excuse me. That's how you can tell if like a combo is real and all that stuff. But she pops out anyways. So and whoa. So an automatic pop out? Do they just automatically roll forward like that? Maybe. Cause see now the when you're in the okay, so when you're in this animation of a tech, I forgot what they call this in other games, but it's just like they call it a pop out. I call it a pop out, where you can just like you've already been juggled, but this is giving you an indicator that you can have your character available, like you can control them again. So I guess you have to wait till that white flashing stops. But the moment that she's got color on her, that means that that player is in control of her now. So but look, you still have time to switch out Captain America, but then the opponent also has time to hit you and Doctor Doom at the same time, and then she ends up doing her unique move, which is like a zip line, but she's like a stretchy arm character, so she just punches and grabs the screen and she can lunge into that direction, which keeps her safe, because then look, I'm still underneath her, but look, yeah, so she tricks me into baiting me to, do an attack, and then she is now able to follow up with a downward one if she wanted to, but she doesn't do that. She retreats. And so that whole exchange, I mean, that's a lot of time to decide what you want to do with your tag partner.
But watch how fast all this plays out. I know this was like a long, super explanation. It all started with the crossover counter, right? So let's start with the situation at hand. How did Doctor Doom get in the corner? Oh, I got wall splatted. All right, in a combo at that. Oh, she did her super. Okay, so she did her super. I get wall splatted. I then have to roll. I block and I counter cross. I I could have just switched, but see, look how fast that is. So it looks like it's a lot of time, but it really isn't. Look, boom, and then I've expended that meter. But in hindsight, if I were to, like I said, if I would have just have held, or I mean, not held the button, but or I could have stopped Captain America to stop doing that. Like she's already in the air, so maybe the thing here would have been to like uh, take control of Captain America so I can land on the ground earlier, right? And then what ends up happening when you switch? So, and this is where the meta starts to come into play. Since Doctor Doom is the primary character and I use Captain America, or he comes in as a crossover assist, like or a crossover counter, and but he's using the vertical assist. If I theoretically held the X button right now, that means I get to control Captain America. He drops to the ground, and then Doctor Doom then rolls into Captain America's slot, which is vertical, and then I could do Doctor Doom's aerial um, attack if he's available. If it's fast enough to be available. Now I still have other options, like while I'm waiting for Captain America to land or whatever right now, right? I could theoretically press and the assemble button and then use like left or back and the assemble button, and then Ghost Rider could come out and do his assault assist. So you see what I'm saying? Like that's where the that's where the complexity of the tagging comes into play. Like I think people are just thinking of it like like normal fighting game or normal tag games where it's like I just call out the assist and do a combo, call out the assist, do the combo, to call out the assist. You can do that in this game and it works the same way, but I just think situationally you might have the ability to, you know, because it doesn't cost. Because remember, it doesn't cost a meter to call them out as long as they're not in a combo, like doing like a grounded combo. And then there's instances where you can literally call out all three people at the same time. Like you could press, like if I was on the ground with Doctor Doom and I got a combo and I just did uh, pressed X, Star Lord will come out, do his shooter attack, and while his shooter attack is happening, I can press back and assemble, and Ghost Rider will come out and do his assault attack. And then while I'm still doing a combo, I could have then popped up the character with Doctor Doom by doing ABC and then holding down and hit heavy. And then if Captain America was available, then I could press down and X, and then he should be able to end it with a vertical assist. Wow. She got me in a lot of crap there just now. What the heck just happened? Yeah, this is when she sort of does this, like, uh, moving across the screen. She's got really good, cool, like, mobility, I think. Like, she wasn't my cup of tea when I, played the beta, but she looks fun. I mean, then she's got that little fake, interrupts her dash, and I'm like over here trying to call out somebody or something, I don't know. And then I just get kicked in the damn face. A big Kamala kick. Um, what does she do? She's just doing some kind of transition. Low attack. And then her
It's a combo. It's either an auto combo or, an ABC. Now, that was her pop-up. Wow, she did. She got me in a aerial rave. That's what they call that in Marvel or X-Men. Oh, and then she called out Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is a what? Assault? No, I think yeah, assault because on the right side, the left is the innermost character, pointing towards the opponent is always the shooter assist. So for this would be like for if you were on the player 2 side, left and X is the shooter assist. So she does the aerial combo, and then that is a combo where if you're gonna do the ender of the combo, you have to press down and heavy, and it does a downwards kick. And the downwards kick, I believe, does either a wall splat or an aerial ray. But that Spider-Man move she did, she called him out doing a assault assist. So his animation, he flies out and he does that kick, which then juggles me like a micro juggle. And then I fall to the ground though. Yeah, it doesn't even. Yeah, but I'm still vulnerable because I didn't. It's not a tech roll. Look at it. A tech roll is when you're white, but that's just like I'm rolling around on the ground. And then she does a grab into a. Yeah, that's a grab. She grabs you, command grab. Wow. And then that's her special attack. She can do that like a dragon punch, I guess, kinda. And then she's not done yet because she does her super. So, I mean, there's some cool things that can be had with this game, I think. If you've been watching and joining the stream, thank you so much. I appreciate the views and the watch. And if you have any, questions or want to leave any comments, let me know. If you want to talk about anything about the game, if you play the beta yourself, let me know on what your thoughts are. Again, these are just my opinions and my observations. I don't think that anybody out there really, has a full grasp of what the game is going to be like in the end. But I think if they keep these changes, I think some of the, I think at least with the tag parts of it, I think the tagging is fun. And I think the tagging can be even more fun if people gave it a chance and kind of explored different ways of rotating out the characters in strategic kind of ways. I'm sorry, I keep pausing when I talk to just because my throat gets off. That's so cool. Ghost Rider was really fun. I don't think I really got enough time to play around with him and really understand what's going on and how to use his thing, his maneuvers and. But a lot of people seem to like him and a lot of people seem to use him. Oh, you can do that move in the air. That was me with my little boom boom combo down. One thing I will say is I love the sound effects in this game. Like it's so dynamic. Like it's just I like the way like the characters say the moves and the sound effects when they're doing the actual attacks and stuff. But like me, and I think even Maximilian dude said the same thing. I wish it had English. Not that I don't appreciate Japanese, dialogue. And I was correct in one of my videos. I said that one of these other Arc System
DreamWorks games has English in it, and there was two of them, and I believe it was Brave Blue and Guilty Gear Strive, even. You know, give you the English dub. Yeah, Spider-Man is super fun. I like this stage. This stage is pretty cool. One sec. I just wanted to see. We've been talking about this game for like 2 hours already, and I haven't even really. Oh, nope, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so much potential for the game. Like, visual-wise, I mean, this looks too good for it to be a waste, you know? And I think, like, people might be, you know, jumping the gun a little early on calling out, like, the flaws of the game. Especially for stuff that I think is going to kind of remain if you're not, you know, unless they decide that they really need to overhaul the tagging process or whatever. I mean, the one thing I do hope is that, like, they do keep the two buttons at least, because I like the fact that I can, you know, do these delayed. Oh yeah, see, here's another spot. So I'm using Storm, I guess. Oh, I'm playing this online too. So check this out. I did that smash counter thing right there. Okay. I did this smash counter where they turn orange like that. They do that orange shadow. And by the way, Storm, I didn't really get to explain her move set, but she's got like her own meter. Hold on, let me let the bottom thing disappear. See, if you look on the right, the tornado thing, it does what it does is she does these different like weather attacks, like storm attacks. Like she'll do this thing where she splashes like water, and it looks like it's raining or whatever, or like a big waterfall, and that's what she does here. So this is a kind of a counter that you can do, but it costs a meter. And yeah, when you see that little orange thing, and it's called an assemble smash. I keep saying the same thing over and over, I know. But it negates an attack, but see, she does her water attack, but does it take away from it? Doesn't take whatever that attack I just did doesn't take away from that tornado thing, because she has this tornado projectile where like she can make like two of them and all this other stuff. And I don't know if that I didn't get to look at her move list, unfortunately. But it looks cool. I know Justin Wong does a video showing all her cool like combos that she can do. Okay, so this is what I was trying to look at. So, you gotta understand that depending on how you switch out your guys will cost that gauge. But as long as the characters are available to swap out when they have color and they're not grayed out, they don't cost any kind of meter or any kind of gauge. Because look, her assemble gauge is gone. Oh, but I get another one right there. I get that one. But then it disappears the moment I press X, because then this guy comes out. But what's cool is I could stay as him if I want by holding the button. And I chose to stay, not stay as Storm, but I still have time because I did a special or something. Or let me see, did I this? I think I did the tornado thing, so I must have triggered. See, or see, she's throwing like wind or something. Oh, it must be wind. That's what that is. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, anytime you're doing something that looks like it's tornadoes or wind or water, it uses up that meter. So she does another one, but what is that little flash? Is that another? No, I'm not wasting a meter there, but she's doing some kind of other thing. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the animation for when you decide to do the swap, where you can swap as that character. But let's see, because Captain America, he was originally in the shooter slot, assist slot, and now I got Storm in there as that assist. And let's see how many seconds it takes that for Storm to be available. So like I just made the switch right there. That's like when she's leaving the screen. So that's 1 second. And here's the second coming up here. Two. And she's it's still that 1 second. Okay, that's 2 seconds. I'm just trying to see how long it takes for that assist to be back in that role. Or in that, to see when Storm's available to call out again. That's 3 seconds. Okay, so it looks like it's like about 3 seconds, and then you get another character. Alright, with all that explained, let's watch that in real time. So, it started with Storm doing her counter. Yeah, 3 seconds. I love Captain America in this game. He's so fun. That like shield trajectory move, that thing is pretty cool if you know how to set it up right, I guess. And that was the assemble smash. That's really good in the air, by the way. Well, maybe in the beginning, if people are kind of like dashing at you or jumping or trying to hit you with like spam projectiles and stuff. If you wait for the right interval, you can use that assemble smash and knock them out of things. But you can also get like another point character in if you wanted to. Now that I know that it gives you the ability to stay as them when you do the counters. Because I thought that the counters, they just do the counters and that's it. I just never paid attention to see when it would show the hold, button. I don't know. Let's see. I think I probably should have just spent like only an hour talking about this game, but it's just that there's so much that I wanted to just see again and discuss, and kind of get out there. I think people aren't giving this the the opportunity that it should deserve to get because it's trying to do something different. And Spider-Man is in a very precarious pose there. I think that's because that's his anime. That's his assemble attack. So what the heck does he do? He's just sliding like that? Wait a minute. That can't be it. That can't be it. Come on, Spidey. What is this? What is this assemble attack? So, assemble smash. So, Iron Man's literally going to be trying to smash here. Because look. Spider-Man. I'm sorry. Spider-Man, what are you doing? That's such a weird animation for a attack. Cause look, what is he doing? He's like his hands aren't moving. He's just like in that pose, and then he slides. Yeah, that's literally all. Like, what is this assemble attack? And does it hit you multiple times like that? It's just like this like delayed kick. Watch. Hmm. Is this because of the beta? Like he's not even like walking or nothing. He's just sliding. I never noticed that. Holy crap. I gotta see that again. In like real time. Yeah, why does he just do that? Is it just because they just didn't want to animate him or something? Like, even. What the heck? He just. It's like it's the thing where they roll back for like half a second to make the character miss, and then they just go in and do the attack. So weird. Anyways, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I could think of to really talk about again. I mean, I'll say that my experience with this game was it started off lukewarm. There was a lot of things I didn't like, and then by the end of it, like at the second day, I was like, okay, this I'm kind of having fun. I want to play it again. Then I started to find different things with it, and then that's when I started finding stuff out about like the it wasn't until the third day that I played that I started to notice the tag stuff. Like understanding like how the tagging works because the first day I just kind of played it without trying to really absorb anything the tutorial said. Just play it and use my basic fighting game fundamentals and knowledge and while that got me through some things, I noticed that I was losing a lot of matches or was having a hard time fighting the CPU. And then by the time I got to the third day, I was able to at least somewhat know what I was doing, and able to like defeat the CPU convincingly with actual mechanics and not just mashing buttons or just relying on like one combo string or whatever. I was actually fighting and swapping and just trying to use the ebb and flow of what I learned, and and I had a lot of fun. You know, I can't wait to really play the full game. I can't wait to see what kind of changes they may do and what characters they may bring out. Hopefully, something new at the Video Game Awards that's coming up. We'll talk about. We'll show some new footage or something or new characters. Um, and speaking of Video Game Awards, it's in a couple of days. I did all my votes already. I still think Claire Obscure 33 is going to. Expedition 33 is going to win it. They're going to win all of the awards. And unfortunately, I wanted to finish my series on that. I just kind of took a break from playing games in general. So, I don't know. I'll still do it. I mean, I'm still way under the 33 hours, so I think I can still do it. But maybe that'll be my, if Claire Obscure sweeps the Video Game Awards, my goal is to then just finish the game from there and beat it in 33 hours. So if I do get back on it, I'll start streaming that. So be on the lookout. Yeah, so let's see. All right. I think we've kind of talked about this enough, at least more than I wanted to. I just thought I would share my thoughts and experience with it, because the stuff I am talking about and showing in my videos, it may seem dry, like dry information, but I think that it helps to break it down in a manner so that people that didn't think about the tag mechanics in that way, maybe that'll help other people out there be like, oh man, I didn't know that you could tag in that kind of way, or I didn't know you can rotate the characters around in the slots and you know. But anyhow, we'll talk a little bit about Invincible. I only have a couple videos of this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it. But this game, so what makes this different from Marvel Tokon, is you only get 3 characters, and this is in line with, Marvel vs. Capcom, at least 2 and 3. And Infinite. Excuse me, it's so late and I'm tired. But what I liked about this one, and I did the survey for this as well. What I liked about this one is the variety of the characters, because they're characters all from the show, from the episodes that I've seen. I don't think this obviously looks as good as Marvel, but it's serviceable, and I think like it looks good for a fighting game. I'll say that some of the animations look a little janky. Some of the glitches and bugs, are kind of apparent, and I'll show some of that stuff because I had some pretty funny bugs that showed up in the game. But for the most part, online experience seemed to be okay. In the beginning, it seemed like I couldn't find a match, and then I don't know what happened later, but I was able to find matches.
I hope this doesn't influence
The
HR
tutorial
decisions in the future.
that they have in here works, but they give you a training mode, and on top of that, I saw the strategy with these guys. If you were in this beta, while you can't go online anymore, you can actually still open up the game and play it locally and play the CPU and practice in the training mode. Like, and you can actually play, like, not sets, but you can just continually play the computer, trying out different things, putting the CPU on dummy and then putting it to like the highest level. But you can play 2 players by setting the CPU dummy to be second player, and you can just play through matches. And me and my kids were actually just playing this game like, we owned it. So that's cool. So that was different with the beta, so I really appreciate that. But for both games, I appreciated getting the opportunity to play in them both, because, I still care about these types of games. I'll play them until I can't play them no more. And, I like the different properties that, each game has. But with Invincible, it's very like, oh, that was like a little glitch. It's very, akin to the show, in terms of like all the callbacks and the what the hell's he doing to Rexplode? This is the difference between this beta and Marvel, is that there's a lot of stuff like this happening. But it's an alpha, it's a beta. It just means that these things are things that are going to get worked out. But it reminds me of freaking what's his name, Vanilla Ice, when he's going into the void from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and you just see like Vanilla Ice just sitting inside the chest of his Stan Cream. What's yeah, that's kind of like what you had to expect with that. Now, let's in all seriousness, tagging mechanics. So the tagging mechanics work just like how every other tag fighting game works, to be honest. The only unique thing in this game, though, is the defensively is how you can break out of combos. And I forget if it costs some kind of meter, but if you look at it, there's 3 bars underneath, most likely going to be something to do with assist. They got 1 super meter, but the difference between this and Marvel Tokon, and I forgot to mention this, is that it has only a single life bar in Marvel Tokon. And I don't like it. The reason why I don't like that is because I found myself conditioned, because of the way that these other games have it. I was conditioned to thinking that if I swapped out my character, I'll get a fresh character in there with health. And that is not the case. So
Sony and Arc Systems Works, if you're listening out there, uh, I think that you either should consider having multiple life bars, but I understand that they don't do that to reduce the screen real estate with all the different things that are on the screen as far as the interface is concerned. But if not giving us multiple life bars for each character, give us some kind of defensive mechanic after you've been beaten to a pulp in a combo and you have your tail is between your legs. At least give us the option to use the assists in some kind of a way that rewards them to fill back some of that life back, because they do have gray health. Gray health in fighting games just means that you get hit and that chunk of life is gone, but then it leaves behind an additional like invisible life gauge that you can refill as long as you don't get hit while it's trying to refill. And so I think like maybe they should implement something where if you do like a smash cross, a smash counter, or like a what's the other one? The crossover, the crossover counter, or a perfect crossover counter, you get maybe like a little bit of gray health back or something, because if it's a shared life bar, there should be ways that you should be, you have to work for it, obviously, but if you can use the mechanics in such a way that you can get little bits of your life back to help get you back into the game, I think that would help. But yeah. But yeah, so this game, again, Invincible has multiple life bars, so each person has a life bar. And they do combo system in this game is actually really fun. It's easy to kind of get into. It's the same premise, you can do motion inputs, or you can do simple directional inputs and your attacks and specials and stuff. But the difference is that I think that the motion controls, they seem like they were more of an afterthought, I felt, because they didn't seem fleshed out. Like, it was hard to do the motion inputs and something would come out like that you would do. And then you would get to the point where you would just, I would, at least for me, I would find myself just going back to simple inputs. Robots. This guy is like really fun. But my favorite character so far in the beta of this was Rexplode. He just has some fun, lines, and his mechanics are really cool. He's fast. He reminds me of, it's not the same exact kind of character, but he reminds me of like Rolento, like his style, like the kind of the way he attacks and his movement and everything. It reminds me of Rolento from Street Fighter also. Monster Girl was fun. And she's pretty fast, and and then the countering in this game is really cool too. I forgot the terms. I did my breakdown video, so if you wanted to figure out like the real basics of this game, you can watch that video. But I just like the counter system works, and I think every time you do like certain counters like that, it drains that little 3 gauges under the health bar. And then supers. In this game, it reminds me of like Mortal Kombat. You just press the 2 buttons and the super comes out. After watching Marvel Tokon for so long, though, any of these games that use this like cel-shaded kind of technique, like they look like so far behind. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because it's got like the way that they shade the skin and stuff. It still looks like 3D textures, the way they do 3D games. I mean, I know they do a similar thing with cel-shading games, but it's like, this looks like on the borderline of like cel-shaded and like Mortal Kombat looking at the same time. Like the characters have like that graphical glaze to their face, I don't know how to describe it, but
Improve yourself. Condescending prick.
Yeah, the game is very bloody and gory too, which is kind of fun. Oop, I didn't mean to skip on that. Now, I said this, I think, during when I was playing, that I didn't feel like the stages did anything. I never paid attention to the fact that the backgrounds like explode and stuff. I did not pay attention to that at all.
Condescending prick.
That's when they do their little intro clash. Yeah, that's cool. That's what I was wondering, is if they could do that, more of that, or have other additional stages that have a little bit more action in the background. Because while it's cool on this stage, it's not as cool on other stages because nothing's happening in the background when the characters like clash or do crazy combos or, you know, stuff like that. So that's that hidden missile like after doing.
Let's do this. Gotcha.
All right, coming through.
I mean, I'm looking forward to this game, but I don't know if I'm as excited now after playing Marvel Tokon, as far as a tag game is concerned. Because, you know, the whole thing is like, you're deciding on which tag game you want to play. And, you know, for me, because I have all these games, you know, I play them all, you know, whether I play with them to progress and be better at them, or whether I just enjoy looking at the art or enjoy playing the mechanics. You know, I'll always play fighting games, but like I said, after playing through Marvel Tokon, I don't know if I could play both these at the same window of time. You know, because it's like, I guess it's just a matter of like what additional menus and features they have, and then whether or not like the gameplay has like long staying power. Because at the end of the day, you know, you're trying to make these games fun, and you're trying to make them accessible with the lowest learning curve as possible. I don't remember if this. Oh, you know what? Okay.
Stop this.
So here's the trade-off with these games, and what this game does that the Marvel Tokon doesn't.
Why you resemble me.
But functionality-wise, it's the same. So, to my understanding, and I could be wrong, I thought that if you press a direction and you call out the assist, they do a different assist, I think? I don't remember. I really don't. Because, I guess because I've played so much Marvel Tokon over the weekend that I'm thinking like both of them do the same thing, but they don't. Especially with the tagging. It's just that you get two different tags, and it's not like you get like assist types. I just think that you got two tag buttons, right?
You know what a bad
and I want to say that you can press a different direction and the tag button for that character, and they do something different. I don't remember if that's the case. I'd have to look at my own too, kind of tough, but yeah, because I don't remember if, like, you know, one does, you know, because it just seems like that's the formula for these, like, more like 3 versus 3, you know, like to have mechanics that allow you to have variation on your assist plan.
It's all good. I called you a cat. I cannot forgive your actions.
I don't know if there was a lot of people that got into this beta.
I can help.
But, you know, it has your standard affair. I know that I didn't really go into a lot of the mechanics of it because I really don't remember how it played. I just remember it did have, like, auto combos, it did have, you know, us, like, combo breakers and assist breaks and all this other stuff.
Yes, you can be wrong every once in a while.
Because you could, there was I think an instance where you could counter the assist. That, you know, if you do an assist and a counter it, you can counter the counter. Okay, so I didn't pay attention. Does this stage actually have a, like, an intro? See, like when they fight? I think I just played it.
One of these clips I think I had my kid was playing and he did pretty
I'm
good.
ending this! Incoming! I've got this! Need a hand?
This is like different style when you play online. You see the other person's name.
Yeah, how you like this?
Now, one thing I will say about this, my critique of this is Tokon. This has a very
Just fucking
kind
die!
of rudimentary, not rudimentary, that's just rudimentary, it could be too, but a very like bland user interface. It looks very bare bones. It almost reminds me of like one of those like the interface, not the gameplay or the animation.
Keep you on your toes.
Did you see that? I had to clip that video because I like died laughing when I saw this. I'm like, all right, I'm doing a super, and then what the hell is this happening? And then I saw this, and it's basically when I did an active tag. Oh yeah, that's right. I'll get into the tag mechanics because now it's starting to come back to me. But I know that with this game, active tag works differently than in Tokon and other types of games. And I think I spent a little time on it. But anyways, check this out. When you do an active tag and then I did like a super or something, I'm just like, what the hell? Yeah. That happened during my beta play, so. But he's going into his
On your
super.
toes.
I forgot there's something different with the way like the active tag looks. I just can't remember what it's called. But essentially, it's the same thing. You got two different buttons called the different,
Surviving this!
or it's the same thing. Like it's like you press the assist button or direction on that character. So I forget what kind of works. But I will say that the motion controls didn't feel very good on this game at all. Like it just still has some more polish to go. And this is considered to be like an alpha test thing. So this is kind of like it's not a completed game, but it's not near beta, which basically means only full production version of the game. And this is still
Your number's up.
Man, she was fun. She was basically like the whole, like almost that combo sequence. And that's the other thing too. This pop-up system feels more like Marvel, the older Marvel games than Tokon. Like Tokon, it's using a Goku Ghost style, animation or cinematic, pop-up. So what sucks about it is that you have to wait for that little camera angle change to then swoop up to the air first and then you jump. Like this one isn't like that. Oh yeah, this is badass. Check this out. So I did something with Rexplode here. And the glitching oftentimes happen with this game when it comes to active tagging.
Time for the big finale.
Rexplode comes off as its ultimate super.
Breathe fast, dickhead.
So it's just words. You just got beat up by words. But I forgot I got off on a little tangent there. Here, let me go back. Yeah, but with what was it that I was talking about? It wasn't with the tagging. It was something that I noticed that was like, oh, the aerial combos. So the aerial combos feel really close to like the Marvel versus, like if you played those games, like popping people up, it feels just like that.
It's a little bit slower maybe, but it just has that same kind of feeling of execution. You jump in and you're pressing like, you know, short attack, medium attack, and then a low attack, and then to a pop up. And then when you pop up and you do the pursuit, you have to press up to do the pursuit. And then when you do that, or if you do up towards versus doing neutral up, you would go up with the character's momentum, the opponent, and and mash out your combos that you're gonna do, and that felt good. I think that felt pretty good. Um, I don't know. I think, like I said, this playing Marvel Tokon, there were so many things going on there that it made other fighting tag games feel like more simple, if that's a better way to put it. And tag fighters are not simple to play, but it just felt like it had like I guess I didn't at all times feel like I was fully in control of like the entire team, but you start to feel more in control when you're messing with the assists the right way. And in this game, it's like the assists are just there to complement your extended combos. And there's I want to say that the combos are pretty long and stuff like that because I did find like I forget which character or which match I had, but I did like a pretty extensive combo, and I was just like, holy crap, I pulled that off. And you know, but this game is a similar fashion. I think, is a three-button game as far as like you don't have short, medium, and like basically you don't have like two shorts. A short kick and a short punch, a medium punch and a medium, kick, and a heavy punch and a heavy kick. They don't have that in this. I don't think. It's just three buttons, and I forget what X does. Maybe it's the tag, maybe it's something else. But I don't know. Overall, I'd say I had more fun playing Tokon than I did this, only because I didn't spend as much time. And part of it was just like I only played like maybe a day and a half, and then I forgot that the beta was only left until Sunday, and then I did play Sunday to catch whatever footage I did catch because I wanted to do videos on it, and I ended up playing in the last hour, and it went on past like midnight, so that was cool of them. Um, but then the other added bonus is that I got to play the next day after the beta closed, and the game was still, around to play, so that was cool. Um, Anything else about this game I could talk about? Yeah, like I said, I think that I don't like the meter gauges. I really don't. I understand them. I see that like there's gray life. I see that I have 5 stocks of supers. That almost reminds me of like seeing like King of Fighters, like they show your stocks. But what I don't like is how they don't have the divisions on the bar, because some attacks and specials may only cost like 1 to 2 bars or whatever, and that just has 5, and then they don't have like any kind of division in the bar itself. But maybe that's just not as important to them. As long as it serves its function, And this is probably because it's, the beginning stage. Like, who knows? This is going to probably change, like, drastically over time. But at the same time, both these games are supposed to come out, like, sometime next year. So hopefully it's not too long of a wait. But not so short of a wait that they don't get the polish in the game, So.
That's your present. You'll like it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot more I want to say about this game at the moment. Only because
Gotta keep you on your toes.
only because I didn't spend as much time with it.
Roll out the Rex carpet.
That it's not a knock on the game because I do enjoy it, and I think I would love to play this when it comes out because of things like this.
Breathe fast, dickhead.
So yeah, but I think that's all this is like the last clip I have for this game. I only had like 2, 3 videos that I saved, only because they contain like the bugs and all that. But yeah, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Give me some feedback, give me some comments. If you played the beta, let me know like what your experience was like. Feel free to share this video if you want to share any information from it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not out here trying to look like the Marvel Tokon mascot or anything like that. I'm definitely not that well versed to be, uh, you know, boasting. I happen to know everything about the game because I really don't. From what I played, and from what I understood, I think I like those choices. Some of the design choices, and hopefully they can expand on those. The current state of the game. For Invincible, I think they definitely need a UI all overhaul, a user interface overhaul, because it just, while I understand it, it all looks the same to me, and I don't know what's different about the meters. That's the problem. Like, I see a total of 9 orange something rathers, which is most likely going to be into the like tagging or the assists or something like that. You get 3 opportunities or 3, stocks of those things. The timer looks weird. Um, Visually, there's some instances like, let's see, is this dust? No, that wasn't even, yeah, that was dust coming out from the ground for that move. There's very little animation on that particular part of the stage. So, um, anyhow, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here, only because one, it's getting late, and two, I think there's just not much more to talk about. Uh, Again, my final verdict on if I had to compare in both betas, I'd say I had more fun on the Tokon beta only because I explored it a little bit more. I wanted to explore it a little bit more, and it had a lobby system, although it didn't have a training mode. I found ways to, improve and learn things about the game. With Invincible, it has a training mode, so you can learn all that you need to know. The rest of the offline portion of the game still remains so that you can still play and practice even at this current state. I think that was a pretty cool thing. And the graphics on the characters and the stage designs and all that stuff are really nice. What I didn't like is they didn't explain how you had secret stage transitions, and it had to do with when you would do what's considered like a wall splat in this game. And they didn't have anything indicating like, oh, you can do a stage transition if you do this, So that would have been kind of helpful. The roster looks pretty good so far. I don't know if there's gonna, I'm sure they're gonna add more of people that were, characters that were in the show or the comic book and whatnot. So, we'll see. Um, there was something else I wanted to say. But gameplay wise, I think both games are great, but I think that Tokon had a little bit more polish than, like when I say polish, like the game felt a little, if that could have the game I played as far as the beta, that could have been the final game. It's not like
graphics were missing or mechanics were not, in the game. Everything was pretty much intact, and it just looked a little bit more, you know, worked on, so to speak. But both games still have a long way to go. God knows how long the release date's going to be for each of these games. Netcode probably the same on both, but they had a matchmaking system, like screen rather than a lot, one of those animated lobbies like Tokon and Street Fighter. Um, they just kept it simple, and sometimes simple wins the long race. Um, I just, I mean, both are popular properties, Marvel, and then Invincible. A lot of people like the show. I don't know which one will have more of an audience, I guess, as far as, because both of them are going to be entered in the same space as far as tag fighting games are concerned. So we'll see what happens there. Another thing is price point. I think Marvel Tokon's going to be, standard premium video game prices. Your $69 and $99 for like the season pass and game, that kind of thing. As to where Invincible, I don't know. I mean, the way the game looks, it looks like it could be a $40 game or, a $29 game. I don't know. But because it's Invincible, um, hopefully it'll be, like on the upper end of the video game cost so that it can kind of warrant that quality, so to speak. So we'll see. But kudos to both studios for putting out some fun games and putting out some fun betas. I look forward to playing more of both games, and I look forward to talking and chatting more about these types of games. So, with that said, guys, I will see you later in another video, and thank you for stopping by, and I hope you at least enjoyed the discussion, because this is what this is all about. It was just basically a discussion to get us in the mood for figuring out which game we're looking forward to. I can't wait to see the Video Game Awards show to see what's going to be, new announcements. Oh, speaking of which, Invincible is getting something at the Video Game Awards. From what I've been reading and what's been announced and what's been sort of semi-leaked by accident by the devs, they released that they're going to show off basically a new original character in the Invincible universe. I don't know. I don't even think it's been like a character that's in the show or the comic book. It's just a character they're adding because of this game. So a trailer for that should be popping at the Video Game Awards this Thursday, because I think it's on the 12th, right? Or maybe Friday. Is it Friday? Because today is the 10th, isn't it? Because it's midnight at the Oasis. Or does that mean? I mean, it's after midnight, but it's, yeah, Wednesday. So Thursday. Oh, it's okay. So it's on Friday. So yeah, so Friday, check out the Video Game Awards. I forget which time, but it's streaming on a bunch of different things. I think it's going to even be on like Amazon Prime, but YouTube and wherever you get your streaming sources. So check that out, and hopefully, Expedition 33 takes home all the gold, and good luck to all the fighting game categories. I think Fatal Fury probably deserves it as far as the games that are listed there, because they have like they had the Capcom collection too. Now, I think I would have voted for that only because they did a good job with it, as far as bringing back the nostalgia and bringing back the history and, all the stuff that's in the collection. But as far as, yeah, I think Fatal Fury City of the Wolves deserves to win because they put the effort into, making something new, and it came out in the right window of time. Same thing with like Virtual Fighter 5 World Stage or Revo or whatever it's called. The re-release. I have it. I play it. I appreciate it. I love
Virtua Fighter, but I don't think it deserves like game of the, fighting game of the year because it's just a re-release, of an older game. So yeah, I think City of the Wolves definitely should take it. All right, well, I will bid you guys adieu. Have a good night. See you in the next video. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you like the content or if you'd like to see other videos. I plan on doing other types of videos. I know right now I'm just doing these like video game type of streams, but I eventually want to do some other things, so we'll see. But have a good night, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.